Hey guys, I'm back with the part 2 video. Again, I don't know if I'll get through all of these in this video, but if that's the case, we'll just shoot for a part 3 because I want to make sure I can at least give you a tiny bit of information for each film so that you know at least a little something about it. This film came out in '62. I got it because it's a Bette Davis and Joan Crawford film, and at the time that they were making films, at least in their older age, they were considered competitive. So them being in a film together was actually pretty unique. And it's Whatever Happened to Baby Jane. And in this one, Joan Crawford's like in a wheelchair, and her sister's Bette Davis, and Bette Davis is like this washed out actress who's like kind of keeping Joan Crawford away from people. It's really good. It's very well done, and it's creepy to see women in their older age kind of being put in situations like that. There's a TV remake. I've never seen it. I do not want to. This is a French film, I believe, called 8½. It might be Italian. This one I got because it's very psychedelic. It's a man directing a film, and in the process of doing it, he's kind of going into these weird psychosis moments where he's reliving things from his childhood, but also kind of making these weird decisions. It's very trippy and psychological, but interesting. This is another Bava film. It's called Black Sabbath. It's got Boris Karloff from Frankenstein in it. This I like because it's like an Italian anthology film. You get 3 stories, and all 3 stories are pretty good. Boris Karloff is in the middle story, which is the longest. It's in a different language, so if you're not into like subtitles or English dub, I wouldn't suggest it. This version's the Italian with the subtitles. Sometimes I like that better because the English dub can come off a little corny. This is an Elizabeth Taylor film, probably her best film in my opinion, Cleopatra. She was a good actress. I just believe she's still alive, I believe too. But some of her stuff I think is a little over the top. But this one I thought was very well done, and of course the settings and the wardrobes were just amazing. This film I actually saw a long time ago, and just I guess wasn't interested in it when I saw it back then, and then more recently I've gotten into it. Dementia 13. It's like a woman who kills her husband so she can get a hold of his family's money, and then she goes to this property where his family lives, and she finds out there's this whole backstory with his baby sister, and it's just really well done. It's a Francis Coppola film. These next ones are actually based on a book, I believe, The Haunting of Hill House. There's a 60s film. Yes, this is like a blockbuster, clearance DVD. I also have the 90s one with Catherine Zeta and Liam Neeson. I like this one too. Scary Movie 2 spoofed this, I'm sure if you've seen that, like with the Hugh Crane stuff. Then I got The Haunting of Hill House, the show on Netflix. I think there is more to it now. This is maybe just some of it. It might be the whole thing. But I like the dynamics of the show because you get this entire family that's been involved in the house. I have Lord of the Flies. No, I think I did read the book, but I don't remember it. The movie was very intense and odd. That's all I can really say about it. Probably not something I'll watch again. This is like a weird comedy. It's a mad, 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 mad world. I really don't remember this either. It's got a lot of good actors in it, at least for the time period. I've said that quite a few times now. But I don't remember it very well because I remember it being kind of odd and not being like the best sense of humor. Now these, I'm a big fan of the 90s ones. However, I did not enjoy the 60s one that much with Jerry Lewis, the Nutty Professor. This was a little bit more of like, again, kind of that musical turn because he wasn't a singer. The Eddie Murphy ones, the first and second, I love these. I grew up watching these. They're just feel-good films. I think especially when you're someone who is overweight like, you can watch something like that and at least hopefully have a sense of humor, but also see the pain in some of the situations Sherman gets into with people and the bullying. But it's a good film. To me, it's a feel-good film. And then there's Norbit, which isn't technically a sequel to The Nutty Professor, but I always kind of felt like it should have been. I think a lot of people do. This is a pretty good movie too, but I think the Nutty Professor films are better. This is a Disney film. I always wanted to see The Sword in the Stone. It's, again, it's weird when you haven't grown up watching certain things and you finally see them. It's just an odd feeling, so I might have to go back and watch this a few more times. I also had another Roger Corman film Jack Nicholson acted in and Boris Karloff called The Terror. I have like a cheapo dollar copy, and then I have the Blu-ray, which is a little more expensive. I wanted to get this because it's one of those films that it's public domain, so a lot of the DVD copies are just terrible transfers. This one's really the one to get. Another Elvis film with Anne Margaret called Viva Las Vegas. Very outrageous. I believe this one, yeah, this one was pretty good. I also have another Bava film with Christopher Lee called The Whip and the Body. This one wasn't very impressive to me. It was kind of violent towards this particular female in the film, and it just didn't. Again, it wasn't my kind of horror film, I guess. However, Bava made this film, Blood and Black Lace, and this is a very good kind of. There's an Italian genre called giallo, which was based upon these mystery novels that were written, which were kind of these graphic murder mysteries. And this is kind of up the alley of giallo type filmmaking, or what it's based upon. And it's all these murders in this fashion school, and you're not sure who the killer is. It's kind of a whodunit type thing, and I like it. And the deaths are graphic, but they're interesting to watch. They're shot very, very well. This one's a 2-pack, but I got it for I Eat Your Skin, which is from the 60s. It's kind of like voodoo priests bringing people back to life and turning them into zombies type thing. I believe that's what that's about. This is another Bette Davis one. It actually was supposed to have Joan Crawford in it, and then there were some conflicts, and Joan Crawford ended up dropping out of the picture. But it's Hush Hush Sweet Charlotte. Bette Davis is kind of like a loner in this, and she lives in this big house in Louisiana, I think. And it's just very. It might be Mississippi, actually. But this one I really like too. It's a little bit of a murder mystery too. Very long though, well drawn out. This one's had a few different ones. The book is by Richard Matheson. It's called I Am Legend. Obviously, there's the 2007 film I Am Legend with Will Smith. That is one of the adaptations. The original adaptation was from the 60s with Vincent Price, The Last Man on Earth. I love Vincent Price films. He always was professional and did the best of his abilities with the tools he was given. And this is a very well done film. He's pretty much one of the only actors in it besides the things that are lingering outside. He's not alone, I'll say that. There's a version from the 70s with Charlton Heston called Omega Man. I really enjoyed that one. I think that one's my favorite out of all three films. Now this one, I have the original on tape. I need to get the DVD, but this is the second one, Mary Poppins Returns. Again, it's an odd feeling. I feel both ways about this. On one end, I think they did a really good job kind of tapping into that world that was created in the 60s film. However, the original did come out in the 60s, so this does feel a little strange kind of reapproaching that story. It was still good though. This one is funny because I separated this from television shows to movies, but it started off as a movie, which was the Pink Panther, and then it became an animated show. And this I really like too. I grew up watching the Pink Panther, the animated. And then there's the 2006 film, The Pink Panther with Steve Martin, which is pretty funny. I think it's cute. This is another William Castle film, Straight Jacket with Joan Crawford. She did a lot of like B films towards the latter part of her career, and I kind of like that because I think that one of the best things about Joan Crawford was she was over the top, but she made it work. And Straight Jacket is really well done. It's I can't explain it very well right now, but it's good. Doctor Strangelove. This is a Kubrick film. I liked this, but there's things about it I don't love. It's a very mind-boggling experience. I think once we get to like 2001, that's when I really start enjoying the Kubrick films. I have more of his to see for sure. I haven't seen all of his films. This I really loved. What a Way to Go. This has Shirley MacLaine in it, and she gets with all these men, and she's just really trying to find pure love with a man. And he every time she gets with a man, he gets challenged with like money and trying to be successful. And every single man she's with, as you can see, is like a famous musician or actor. And I just think it's a really well done film. And again, it has musical vibes, but the fashion in it is great. It's a good Shirley MacLaine movie. This is the That Darn Cat double feature that has the 60s Haley Mills one and the 90s Christina Ricci. The Christina Ricci one's good, but there's things about it I don't like. The Haley Mills one is really smart, and Haley Mills is obviously very smart in the film. This is actually a pack. It's kind of a loose trilogy. Like, it's not like an out there bold statement. It's a trilogy, but it's Roman Polanski's Apartment trilogy. The 60s one's Repulsion. This is really trippy and psychedelic. It's black and white. There's Rosemary's Baby. I'm sure some of you know what that is. Really creepy story about the woman who becomes pregnant and she suspects people in her apartment building are trying to take her baby. There's The Tenant, which came out in the 70s, which Roman Polanski stars in himself. I just really think that his films are well done and, again, psychologically test you, and they make you want to go back and watch them again because you feel like you missed things. And to me, that's smart filmmaking, when you want to go back and revisit it so many times. This is another Joan Crawford one she did with William Castle. She did a couple films with him. This is I Saw What You Did. It's kind of playing upon the idea of When a Stranger Calls a little bit, but it's these kids who keep prank phone calling people, and they prank phone call a man who killed somebody, and then he thinks somebody's on to the murder. This is good. Good stuff. Then I have another Polanski film, Cul-de-sac. I really got this because Donald Pleasance is in it, and I love him from like the Halloween films with Dr. Loomis, and this is kind of hard to explain too. These ones, I got them mostly because they are enjoyable films, but they're highly about racism, and I don't want to seem like I support that. It's more I just enjoy the movie, the experience of it, which is Django. This is the 60s one, and then this is Django Unchained, which is technically a remake, I think, that Tarantino made. I love anything Tarantino makes, and I do think he taps into some heavy racism sometimes in his films. I know he does it for the visionary genius that he creates, so I'm not bashing on that. It's just, it can be cringy sometimes. These are the Grinch films. These are all three of them. I have the Boris Karloff narrated one. This one I really like. It's the Jim Carrey one, and it's when you open it up, it's fluffy. See, it's like the Grinch. I really like the Jim Carrey one the best. I do have the newest one. However, I'm not a big fan of these full CGI animated. I really think the original cartoon drawn ones are where it's at. This is a Clint Eastwood film, one of his first, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. It's a cowboy film. I really liked this. I enjoyed it quite a bit. This is another Bava film, Kill Baby Kill. This one's like about a curse too on this town. This one's a little hard to explain to. It gets psychedelic, but I really like this film. It's probably one of his more underrated films, but you should definitely check it out. This is like a Peanuts collection I got because I really wanted to get the Great Pumpkin, the Halloween one, and then the Thanksgiving one. Or the Christmas one, sorry. It comes with the Thanksgiving one. but it's 3 of the holiday peanut specials. You know, feel good stuff. This is a Barbara Steele film. She was an Italian actress who was in a lot of Bava films, but this is She Beast. And this one was pretty interesting. She played like a witch that came back to life. These ones, I didn't like the original, but it's Bedazzled from 67. But my favorite is the one from 2000, which is got Elizabeth Hurley and Brendan Fraser. This is so funny. It's like she's the devil and she grants Brendan Fraser all these wishes and then she like messes them all up for him. This is just so funny to me, especially for Brendan Fraser because he's had some weird films. This one I almost forgot, but it's Bonnie and Clyde with Faye Dunaway and Warren Beatty. I did like this. It was cool to see one of Faye Dunaway's first films, and Warren Beatty looked almost the same as he did in the 90s. It was crazy. These, In Cold Blood, I actually got this for a lot of reasons. I wrote a book report, I think in like the 7th grade, on the actual crime of the Clutter family that was murdered in Kansas. And I live in Kansas, so that's kind of why I was interested in this. But the movie came out in the 60s. I really liked this and got into this. And I like the 90s one with Sam Neill and Eric Roberts. Interesting to check out, especially if you're into like true crime stuff. And then this is Capote with Philip Seymour Hoffman. This is the story about the author of the book In Cold Blood and how he got to meet one of the killers. Really good stuff. This one I got, it's actually another spoof of James Bond, but it's the reason I got it is because in Austin Powers, the second one, the scene where Austin Powers goes to watch a movie, he goes, "Oh, In Like Flint, that's my favorite movie," and it's a 60s film. And this is actually pretty interesting, but it's weird. It's very psychedelic, again, the 60s, so. I'm going to try and do a part 3 for this. Again, I feel like I'm talking a lot, so I need to space this out evenly. So here comes part 3.